Back on. Could you introduce yourself, please, for our magic recorder here? Thank you very much.
Sure. I'm Jennifer Doyle Breen from AECom, and
I'm Annie Bastoni from Mass DOT.
My name is Yan Zhang from AECom.
Where are you from, sir?
AECom.
AECom. Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
should we start? Or?
You start. You're
Yep.
all set to go.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So we're here as a continuance of our hearing from February 10th. At that hearing, there were some questions raised, and so we submitted some written responses last week to Kathy, and she, I talked to her, she said she's distributed them all to you. So I can go over what we sent in, and if you'd like, I can start by just giving an overview of the project again, since it's been, or should I just go right into the response?
No, give a brief overview for the public. That would be very helpful.
Okay. So the notice of intent that we submitted on behalf of Mass DOT was for stormwater BMPs to treat runoff from I-93 that currently goes into the Neponset River without being treated. It's currently a direct discharge. The BMPs that are shown on this
And BMPs are?
best management practices, stormwater best management practices. The BMPs that are shown on this figure are part of DOT's larger impaired waters project, looking at impaired waters across the state and evaluating how stormwater BMPs can be retrofit into existing infrastructure areas to help treat stormwater runoff. So as this figure shows, again, I'll just go over this quickly, there are 4 BMPs that DOT is planning on putting in the area near the Neponset River, as shown on this figure. One of them, Site A, is in Boston. This side of the river is in Milton. These 3 BMPs, C, D, and E, are all in Milton. Only C is in a Wetland Protection Act resource area. The other 2, D and E, are outside of resource areas. So C is in 100-foot buffer zone of a vegetated wetland, which is shown here on this figure as with the delineated green line. So when we were here in February, again, there were some questions raised, and we provided written responses, and I know I gave copies to Kathy, but I have 9 copies here, so should I just give them to you?
Yes,
or-
because
Yeah, that would be
Maybe
great.
via
hand them
email
out?
rather than hard copy.
So first of all, since our February 10th hearing, at Site C, we have fine-tuned grading a little bit, and this really wasn't in response to a concern raised by the commission. It was just something that, as we've been finalizing the design for Mass DOT, we modified the grading just very slightly to try to blend it in more with the existing landscape and make it more of a natural feature rather than a more obvious hole in the ground, so to speak. So there's been some minor grading changes here, and we have also added some landscaping, and which is shown here on this figure. And both of these figures that I've just flipped to are in the letter. And I also, they're in at 8.5 by 11s in the letter, but I also brought 11 by 17s. Which, maybe you could hand those out too. They're stapled together.
Okay.
So you could see them a little bit clearer. So, so these plans were attached to the letter. In addition to that, as a result of these small grading changes, we made some minor updates to the stormwater report, to the HydroCAD model in the stormwater report, to reflect those grading changes. And in our letter, so attachment 1 of the letter are the 2 plans that Jan just handed out to everybody. And then attachment 2 are just the things that changed in the stormwater report. So we provided just a new cover page with a new date. There were, again, just a few small changes in some of the numbers that were in the stormwater report and in the HydroCAD model. And then also provided in your letter packets is the new HydroCAD output, which is all those colored graphs and tables of various calculations. In addition to that, at the meeting in February, there was some questions asked about the construction schedule. So in our letter, you'll see that there's a section with the heading construction schedule that outlines and explains what the construction schedule is. The BMPs that are shown, that were shown on the overview figure, are being bundled with some other best management practices for in Weymouth and Braintree, and that whole package is scheduled to go out for bidding by Mass DOT in June. So in order to make that happen, we're really hoping to have all the permits in hand before June so that we can have a complete bid package. And Mass DOT's bidding schedule is important because they are getting federal funding for this project, and so it does need to go out to bid in that time frame to maintain the funding.
Does that mean the bid has to go out in June, or are you trying to back it up?
The documents, the bidding documents are released in June, and then it takes approximately 4 months to select a contractor. And then it will be a 2-year construction period, approximately. Does that answer your question?
Well, it does, but I noted in the letter that you were looking for a vote tonight in advance of our inspections. And that, we could certainly consider that. But in light of the fact that you're not submitting until June, is that necessary from your perspective?
Yes, because in June is when the entire bidding package will go out to contractors. So usually the ideal would be that all the permits are in hand by then, so that the contractors have all the information about any conditions that may be in the permits or anything that might affect the construction. So they have all that information when they're putting together their bids.
Understanding that, it's certainly possible that we could see something and move some lines. It probably wouldn't affect the construction schedule, or it probably wouldn't affect the contractor's bid either. But this is March. If we were to do an inspection in April, we could issue in April or May. I'm just looking for like alternatives, because you're kind of asking to give a conditional assent. It would be conditioned upon a subsequent review of the delineation lines.
Right. That is what we're asking for. You're right. So that we have as much information as we can in advance of the bidding. So I hear what you're saying. You're saying we
might
could
change it. We might change the line. I don't think it's going to have a huge impact. It might be 5 feet this way or that.
What could happen?
It could happen. So to the extent that we moved a line, what's better for you, for DOT? We don't want to hold up the project. It's a good project. And it helps.
I'm going to flip back here, which shows, so just to orient all of us, this is the wetland over here. This is the current delineated line. And if the line were to be moved a few feet, we're not grading right up to the line. We're close over here. So I do see your point. I mean, I think from Mass DOT's perspective, it would be preferable to have sort of all the ducks in a row, and then if the line were moved a little bit, it like you said, it probably won't affect what's going on here, but they would have already been able to move forward with the process and complete their bid package.
But we could do it at the site walk as well.
In April.
In April.
April, that would give you a month and a half or 2 months.
So you're saying if we had the site walk in April, and then you have 21 days to issue the order of conditions, right? So that could push it.
We could issue the order of conditions that day.
At
You
the
could,
sidewalk.
at the
Yeah,
sidewalk,
at the
if you have
sidewalk.
a
That's
quorum
what you're
there.
just saying.
We have a
Yes.
quorum, we have
Yeah.
an announced
Yeah.
public meeting.
Yep.
Done that in the past.
I mean, that if the order of condition, I mean, I think that we were thinking if the hearing closed tonight, we would probably get the order of conditions in mid-April. So I see what you're saying, that we could just, if you wanted to wait and have the site visit, then you could have the site visit and then issue the order of conditions still in mid-April, right then at the site visit.
Right.
Exactly.
I mean, we do have some safety concerns with large numbers of people being on the side of a very large interstate.
Yeah.
But that's going to happen anyway. We're not going to sign a blank check
Yeah.
and just say, oh, okay, we'll take your lines.
Yeah.
I mean, in the interest of setting precedent our attempts to be uniform in our application of the regs, we do have to look at the line.
You do that for every project.
We do it for every project.
You do.
Yeah. I did want to bring that up because we would need a police detail to go for the site visit here?
Yeah, I don't know how we would do it because there's no shoulder.
Right, I think, we used police detail when we were doing the field work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because there's I-93 here, this is the on-ramp and this is the off-ramp.
right.
We could go in one car. There's a trooper that parks there, you know, every 10 days to keep people from cutting in line.
Basically, if I may come in again, it's pretty hard to walk through the area. It's not an easy hike. So, if I may.
But we've done that before too.
I know. So,
A couple of times.
So I think this is probably two ways to do it. You can access from here. It's a slightly easy way to walk up, or walk down from this area. That's very tough to. Sorry. Thank you. If you walk down from here, that's a little bit steeper slope to come down, and